Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody a little louder. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody a little louder, dolce volume. A little louder, please. I can't hear you. One more time, a little louder with your heart. Hare Krishna, Hare One more time, very loudly, meaning it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. I apologize for the screen change for some of you that were on there earlier. I also don't know what happened. I just stepped away from the computer, and next thing I knew, all kinds of things were on there. That's Maya. Anyway, what to do? So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19, Text 20. Chapter 19 is appearance of Shukadeva Goswami. And without further ado, I'll start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Anachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajakachaja Astottara Satasishri Maharaj Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajakachaja Stottara Satasishri Maharaj Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Nama Charja Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Charja Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद सुद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ स्वामी कुंज राधा कुंज गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय नवद्वीप धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय जमुना माई की जय तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय सामवेद भक्तविंद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि को all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the Lord Spirit of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga worship Prabhupada Namo Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Namani Namaste Krishna Prabhupada Starpani Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Kiri Pranam Narayana Namaskritya Narunchevam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashta Prayesva Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhavatu Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19, Text 20. Nava idam raja shivarya chitram Bhavasu Krishnam Bhavasu Krishnam Samanuvrateshu Yidyasamam Raja Kirita Justam Sadyo Jahil Bhagavat Pashva Kama Nava idam Raja Shivarya Chitram Bhavasu Krishnam Savanuvrita Vrateshu Yidyasamam Raja Kirita Justam Sadyo Jahil Bhagavat Pashva Kama Nava idam Raja Shivarya Chitram Bhavatsu Krishnam Samanuvrateshu Yidyasamam Raja Kirita Justam Sadyo Jahul Bhagavat Pashva Kama Hare Krishna. You can chant if you want to.
Navahidam Raja Srivarya Chitram Bhavatsu Krishnam Samanuvrateshu Yatyasanam Raja Kiritajustam Satyo Jahur Bhagavat Parvasya Kama. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Nava idam raj rishvarya chitram bhavatsu krishnam samanuvrateshu ye adhyasanam rajkirit jushtam sadhyo jahur bhagavat parshvakamaha. Hare Krishna.
न वा इदं राजर्षिवर्यचित्रं भवत्सुकृष्णं समनुव्रतेषु येधासनं राजकिरीटिजुष्टं सद्यो जहुर्भगवत्पार्श्वकामः. Hare Krishna.
Welcome back, Nityagopal Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Glad to be back here. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hey, are you gonna chant, Prabhu? If
Oh,
you feel inclined. Yeah,
He
go ahead.
just did. I think he did, unless I heard someone else's voice.
I just did. I
Yeah,
thought
he
I was
just
on
did.
mute or something.
He's
All
got
right,
a change
all
of
right.
voice from India and US.
Still, I have some,
I
voice
thought I was
issue.
hearing a different voice. Your voice has been sanctified more when you went to India. So
True,
now it's a
true.
little different. At least in my ears it is. All right, well, Hare Krishna. Let's
Hare
continue.
Krishna.
My apologies for this
No
word for word translation. Na, neither. Va, like this. Idam, this. Rajashi, saintly king. Varya, the chief. Chitram, astonishing. Vavatsu, unto all of you. Krishnam, Lord Krishna. Samanuvrateshu, unto those who are strictly in the line of. Ye, who. Adhyasanam, seated on the throne. Raja Kirita, helmets of kings. Jushtam, decorated. Sadhya, immediately. Jahu, gave up. Bhagavat, the personality of Godhead. Pashvakama, desiring to achieve association. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The sages said, O chief of all the saintly kings of the Pandu dynasty who are strictly in the line of Lord Krishna, it is not at all astonishing that you give up your throne, which is decorated with the helmets of many kings, to achieve eternal association with the personality of Godhead. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Foolish politicians who hold political administrative posts think that the temporary posts they occupy are the highest material gain of life, and therefore they stick to those posts even up to the last moment of life, without knowing that achievement of liberation as one of the associates of the Lord in his eternal abode is the highest gain of life. The human life is meant for achieving this end. The Lord has assured us in the Bhagavad Gita many times that going back to Godhead, his eternal abode, is the highest achievement. Prahlad Maharaj, while praying to Lord Shringa, said, Oh my Lord, I'm very much afraid of the materialistic way of life, and I am not the least afraid of your present ghastly, ferocious feature as Nishringadev. This materialistic way of life is something like a grinding stone, and we are being crushed by it. We are fallen into this horrible whirlpool of the tossing waves of life, and thus, my Lord, I pray at your lotus feet to call me back to your eternal abode as one of your servitors. This is the summit liberation of this materialistic way of life. I have very bitter experience of the materialistic way of life, in whichever species of life I have taken birth, compelled by the force of my own activities, I have very painfully experienced two things, namely separation from my beloved and meeting with what is not wanted. And to counteract them, The remedies which I undertook were more dangerous than the disease itself. So I drift from one point to another, birth after birth, and I pray to you, therefore, to give me a shelter at your lotus feet. What a prayer. The Pandava kings, who are more than many saints of the world, knew the bitter result of the materialistic way of life. They were never captivated by the glare of the imperial throne, the imperial throne they occupied. And they sought always the opportunity of being called by the Lord to associate with him eternally. Maharaj Pariksit was the worthy grandson of Maharaj Yudhishthira. Maharaj Yudhishthira gave up the imperial throne to his grandson. And similarly, Maharaj Pariksit, the grandson of Maharaj Yudhishthira, gave up the imperial throne to his son Janmejaya. That is the way of all the kings in the dynasty because they are all strictly in the line of Lord Krishna. Thus, the devotees of the Lord are never enchanted by the glare of materialistic life, and they live impartially, unattached to the objects of the false, illusory, materialistic way of life. Om Gnanamirandasya Gyana Gyana Shalakaya Chakchu Omilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadanti Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravan Kacharini Nirveshesha Sunnivari Paschatya Deshatayame Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prem Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Guratiche Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Time. Ananda Lilamaya Vigrahaya Himabili Vachavichandaraya Tasmila Prem Raspadaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. So here's the translation again. The sages, they said, O chief of all the saintly kings of the Pandu dynasty who are strictly in the line of Lord Sri Krishna, it is not at all astonishing that you give up your throne, which is decorated with the helmets of many kings, to achieve eternal association with the personality of Godhead. So this is the total voice of the sages in response to Maharaj Pariksit, receiving them very nicely, revealing his mind to them that he wanted to fast for 7 days. Chukadeva Goswami was there to preach to him, answer his questions, and from that, Srimad Bhagavatam was to come out. This is all the plan of Krishna. So the idea was related from Maharaj Pariksit as to what he wanted to do to these sages, and they very much approved of it. And their response is this particular verse. O chief of all the saintly kings of the Pandu dynasty, who are strictly in the line of Lord Sri Krishna. So we may not be kings now, but we are also in the line of Lord Sri Krishna by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, the spiritual master, the preeminent spiritual master for the society. So we are also fortunate in that way. Now the sages said they knew that materialistically Maharaj Pariksit was very well off. But they say it's not at all astonishing that you give up your throne, which means the position of king, emperor, which is decorated with the helmets of many kings. He's the emperor, therefore many kings were actually under him. But still give up this imperial throne to achieve eternal association with the personality of Godhead. He was going to go to the Lord's abode. The sages were sure of that because of the way in which he was going to leave. He was going to leave having his full attention on hearing the wonderful, glorious activities, transcendental activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, as we're hearing all of this, we should be asking ourselves, am I doing the same thing? Hmm? Am I behaving in a saintly way? Am I ready to hear consistently the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Am I ready to chant the Lord's name with great attention? Hmm? And am I ready to go back to Godhead? In that, when that time, the last examination comes, I will be thinking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, the answer to the last question, when that time comes, is the answer is given, or the situation is described in the Shastra, that the things that we think of, or the personalities that we think of the most in our material life, are most likely the one that's gonna come to mind when we're on our deathbed, in the last stages of life. The dominant thoughts are the ones that are going to come. The dominant thoughts throughout our lives. That's why Rupa Goswami is saying, think of Krishna all of the time. Think of Krishna 24/7. That means even when you're going to sleep, we should in fact have Krishna in the mind. Read something spiritual, hear something spiritual, then go to sleep. Then the mind, and therefore the subtle body, the mind is part of the subtle body, has been put in the situation, the realm of thought of Krishna. And that way, the dreams might even be Krishna conscious. You don't have control of your dreams, but if you feed the subtle body, the mind, Krishna consciousness over and over and over again, then even those times when you sleep, chances are very high that the dreams will also be spiritualized. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada begins to discuss the politicians of today. Maharaj Pariksit was in politics. Maharaj Pariksit was an emperor. Therefore, the material administration was under his care. That's why Srila Prabhupada is comparing him to those who are the modern day administrators. And he starts by qualifying them with the word foolish. Foolish politicians who hold political administrative posts think that the temporary posts they occupy are the highest material gain of life. Therefore, they stick to those posts even up to the last moment of life. Now, I don't need to tell you what's going on in the United States. You put two and two together yourself. You can tell. Nobody needs to tell you the situation we're in. At the presidency level, that is. But it's not even worth getting into it. We all know. But these politicians don't know that actually being liberated from the material world and becoming one of the associates of Krishna is in fact the best thing that could happen to anybody. To anybody. That's why Srila Prabhupada is trying to get us to focus on everything that we need to do to go to the spiritual world. These politicians think that the highest material gain of a certain the greatest popularity in any country comes at that particular position of president. So they stick to those posts. There's some power involved, and they get drunk by those power, intoxicated by that power. Especially the Prabhupada is saying they don't realize that becoming one of the associates of the Lord in his eternal abode is the best use of this human body and the mind. So then he said the human life is meant for doing just that. Getting liberated, thinking about Krishna, serving Krishna's devotees, serving Guru, serving from our hearts, serving with the aim, I am here to please the senses of Krishna. And if I please the senses of Krishna, Krishna will be happy with me. Hmm? Hmm. So when we have little children, let them hear things about Krishna, nursery rhymes about Krishna, coloring books about Krishna. Start them from a very young age. And you start chanting. Don't force them to chant. It's something that they must like to do. And since they look up to us as parents, they think that what we do is the right thing to do. So when they see us chanting, they're going to think the right thing to do is to chant. And this is exactly what we want them to be about. To chant in front of them. You say, oh, well, I get up early in the morning and finish my rounds. That's good, the Brahma Muhurta time. That is very good. But the rounds are 16 minimum, which means you can do some more. So check out a time when the children are around you and pick your bead bag and do some extra rounds, 1 or 2 rounds, just so the children will see you chant. And you yourself will get more spiritual credits for chanting. And then if they get interested, want to do the same thing mommy and daddy are doing, then you immediately provide them with maybe neem beads, because they will start off not knowing exactly how to go about it, but then, small bead bags. I remember one devotee family that's still in Gitanagri, their first daughter, her name was Devaki. We were living, and she and myself were living, we didn't have children at that time. No, we didn't, yeah. So we were living at the Institute House, where that's the residence of Bhakti Swami. This little girl came to, they left her with us. And Gitanagri, we were living as a community. So if anybody wanted to go, we didn't have babysitters. We didn't have to have babysitters. You just get your child to the next house. Everybody knows everybody. So we were taking care of Devaki. She came to me first. I was watering plants at the Institute House, Bhakti Maharaj's residence. He was so excited about it. Oh, can I water? Absolutely. Then I showed her, gave her a smaller container, and she was putting water on I was putting water on the plants, she was putting water on the plants. By the way, I'll let out something about the plants to you. I don't know to this day why Bhakti Prabhupada mentioned this, but he said they are plant devotees. They are plant devotees. And the only thing I can say about that is, well, things don't happen by accident. And so if those plants have been now situated in a place where there's spirituality going, the spiritual master lives, then definitely there's some connection there. So she helped me with that. And then she came to the kitchen. This is this little girl. She had some toys, toy stove, toy pans, toy saucepans. And so when she was cooking, she was also doing her little, make-believe type cooking. And she finished cooking, and she set up something for offering. This is all being done by herself. And what blew my mind is that she didn't really say the prayers because she didn't know the offering prayers. This was like, she must have been maybe 4 or 5 years old, something like that. But she had seen her parents do it. So after she finished, she sat in one corner of the room and put her hands under her clothes, media clothes, and then she became very quiet. And this is the pose that many second initiates who chant Gayatri do. Her parents were both second initiates. So she had seen her parents do it. And so she also was just, she obviously doesn't know the Gayatri words, but she was in the Gayatri pose. So they do copy what parents do. So it's just a matter of letting them know, letting them see you do it, and they'll do it like that. Just lovingly get them associated with that by being the example. So human life, even from that age, when they get older, then it's been part of their lives, part of their growing up. They've seen people in the community do that, so they just do it because it is part of life. Then they get older and they learn that actually this is how you go back to Godhead. and he do the same thing. Maharaj Pariksit was also raised in a wonderful family, Krishna conscious family. The grand uncles and the grandparents were the Pandavas. So definitely they were all about Krishna. And so Maharaj Pariksit was all about Krishna. He was trained, and now he also has seen when the imperial throne was given to him, he had seen his grand uncles and grandparents and their wife go away to take Krishna consciousness fully seriously, 100%. So when he heard the news from Shringi that due to his mistake, even though it was an overreaction on the part of Shringi, the Brahmin boy, he would be dying in 7 days, he also left the throne he had 4 sons. Maharaj Janmejaya was the first son. So he left the imperial throne to him. He was also trained. Maharaj Janmejaya was very, very, very capable personality for that activity of running things, the administration. So human life is meant for going back to Godhead. Why does Srila Prabhupada say that? Well, we have to remember, no matter what we want to think about this material world, this is Krishna's jail. So human life is meant to prepare ourselves to get out of jail and go be with Krishna and have a very, very happy life. And Prahlad Maharaj, who was the son of Hiranyakashipu, a demon, so he was hassled a lot by his father, Hiranyakashipu, because he was just a devotee of a Lord. And Hiranyakashipu was a demon and wanted Prahlad Maharaj to live a material life. And Sanda and Amarika, the 2 teachers, were given the task of making him a great materialist. But Prahlad Maharaj was a devotee of the Lord who wasn't about to change his mind in any kind of way. He had heard of Krishna consciousness while in the womb of his mother. So he came out a devotee, not to be swayed in any way from becoming anything but a devotee. Prahlad Maharaj was tormented by his father. Now, he's saying to Lord Nrsingadev, after Lord Nrsingadev appeared and killed his father, "Oh my Lord, I'm very much afraid of the materialistic way of life. And I'm not in the least afraid of your present ghastly, ferocious feature as Nrsingadev. The demigods, even Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, were all afraid to come near Nrsingadev. With having killed, just literally bifurcated the body, just ripped his stomach open and taken intestines out and was wearing the intestines as a garland. And he looked, ferociously beautiful in the way of describing it. But the ferocious part really concerned the demigods and Lakshmi, Mataji, so nobody wanted to come near him, and he was in this still ferocious mood. You could see in his face, this is Lord Sringadev, and nobody could pacify him. Nobody felt qualified to be able to say anything to pacify Lord Sringadev. But Prahlad Maharaj started praying. He says, I'm not even afraid of your feature like this, but materialistic way of life, that's what I'm afraid of the most. And then he describes it. It's like a grinding stone, and we're being crushed by it. It's like an invisible grinding stone. You don't see a real grinding stone, but we try, and we're being crushed. The physical body alone is proof of it. Because at some time, when you're younger, then you don't feel the crushing so much. But when you get older, then the body begins to fall apart. The pain that comes is like a pain when the stone falls on you, or being rolling on you. So one part hurts, and another part hurts, and another part hurts. I remember my mother-in-law, the serious Bob, the conversation was all pain here and pain there and pain here and pain there. That's all she was talking about. And took a lot of medicines, and the medicines started reacting and interacting with each other and causing more harmful side effects. So we're not to say that you should live a morbid life, but we also have to be aware of the reality of it, that we are in jail. And Krishna really wants us to go back home to enjoy forever, not get old, certainly not get crushed by any grinding stone in any kind of way. So he's saying, I pray at your lotus feet, this is Prahlad Maharaj, to call me back to your eternal abode as one of your servitors. That should be our prayer. We have fallen into this whirlpool of tossing waves of life. Lord Chaitanya said the same thing also. Ayinanda tanuja kinkaram patitam visham vivam buddha kripaya tava parapankaja sita duli sadisham vijintaya. O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I'm your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other have fallen into this ocean of birth and death. So please pick me up in this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Very similar to this prayer here. I pray at your lotus feet to call me back to your eternal abode as one of your servitors. And nobody should feel that this is so different from what everybody else is thinking. Well, the fact of the matter is, everybody is in Maya to some extent. The rest of the world, the non-devotees, don't quite understand. They are thinking that through science and through different new products, we are going to make life better for us. But disease is increasing, so life is not becoming better. Taxes are increasing, so life is not becoming better. We're getting old, so life is not becoming better. And we can't change those things. Some of it are done by man, especially the taxing parts. So we have nobody to apologize to for thinking that way. As a matter of fact, the Prabhupada has given us the best situation of life. Get out. And while we don't have it as terrible, because it could be more terrible, Kali Yuga progressing, it's going to be that way. When it is not as terrible as it could possibly be, the way it's been described later in the Srimad Bhagavatam, this is the time to take Krishna consciousness seriously and get out. If you are on the boat, and it's time to get out because you need to get from the boat to the land, it's better to get off the boat when the waters are not as ferocious. But when the waves are tossing and the boat is just going here and there and say, I want to get out, that's a more difficult situation. You may be able to get out or you may drown. So while we go about our material life, we should understand that Krishna consciousness is a matter of our salvation. So Prahlad Maharaj says, in whatever species of life that I've taken birth, compelled by the force of my own activities, he's talking about his karma, I have very painfully experienced two things. One, separation from you, Krishna, my beloved, and meeting with all kinds of challenges, what is not wanted. And then to counteract that, I did more things materially, which were even more difficult, troublesome than the disease itself. And so trying to fix things, what happened? I took birth, another birth, another birth, and another birth, and each birth is very, 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 very difficult. We don't remember our birth. That's why sometimes we just take birth lightly. But when the soul, as the Shastra tells us, is confined in the womb, confined, and just imagine being confined. Everything around you, and it's totally dark. You're confined and it's totally dark. And you're at the mercy of whatever mother eats that comes to you. And then there are bugs that are biting. It's a very, very, very precarious situation to be in. So that being the case, we shouldn't want to take birth again. At all, anywhere in the material world. So Srila Prabhupada said the Pandava kings were well aware of the bitter results of the materialistic way of life. One of the bitter results is you struggle so hard to acquire some things materially. What happens in the end? Death comes and takes it all away. The government taxes you for so many things and take much of what you work hard for. And then Krishna comes as death. If you're a materialist, you take everything away. But for a devotee, what the devotee has materially in their care also gets taken away. But the devotee gets released from prison and they're going to enjoy way better situation than the materialistic way of life that we had here. Therefore, for a devotee to give up things, you start giving away things even before we die. Just give it away. Simplify life. That's why Sri Prabhupada says that. And give it away for, especially for Krishna conscious activities, the best thing to do. So we should be seeking the devotees of the Lord and associate with them. Because when it's that way, we will also think at the time of death that we want to associate with the devotees of the Lord who are in the spiritual world. So all of these kings in the dynasty, in the line of Lord Krishna, they are not enchanted by materialistic life. They are not attached to the objects of a false, illusory, materialistic way of life. False and illusory. They put it there because it seems, Sri Prabhupada says that, it seems that it would give us happiness, but actually all it does is, at best, counteract the challenges that we face in material life, and the demigods throw at us. So we should be detached. We should be detached from materialism. Bhagavad Gita chapter 1, text 27, Sri Prabhupada talks about detachment. The principles of knowledge and detachment are two important factors in transcendental realization. Two important factors. Get to know more about Krishna and detach from materialism. Two important things to do. So that is from Bhagavad Gita chapter 1, text 27. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, chapter 9, we're in chapter 19. This is chapter 9, text 26. The main purpose of Ashram Dharma, we talk Varna and Ashram Dharma, but the Ashram Dharma, that part, which means the Brahmachari, the Grihasta, the Vanapras, and the Brahmachari student training and getting understanding about Krishna consciousness from Guru. Grihasta means married life, but dedicating the life itself and the children all to Krishna consciousness. Vanapras, retired life, spending more time now, husband and wife, in Krishna consciousness. And sannyasi, a renunciate that is 100% connected in all activities to Krishna consciousness. That's the ashram dharma part of it. What's the purpose? Is to awaken our knowledge of Krishna and detachment. So the earlier reference talked about knowledge and detachment are two important factors. Ashram dharma is also the same thing, to awaken knowledge and detachment. Brahmachari ground is it Brahmachari ashram is a training ground, and then on to married life, and on to retired life, and on to renunciate type lifestyle. Conditioned souls, we are in these material bodies. We are under the material bondage. Therefore, we are prisoners of matter. So self-realization is the ultimate aim of life. That's why Sri Prabhupada wrote the book, The Science of Self-Realization, and that's what I started with. It's such a revealing book, and now we're actually reading it every Thursday at 6:30. There's a bunch of devotees. You're welcome to join if you want to. We read and discuss the science of self-realization. So the whole system of ashram dharma is for detachment. It's for detachment materially. So, of course, from brahmachari, if you still want to get into a family situation, you can, and then grihasta family situation is there Srila Prabhupada himself went through it, married, father, of course, and the mother gave birth to him, and then he also got married and he had children. Was in Grahastha Ashram for a while. And then he left family and then became a sannyasi. So even Sankhya philosophy, we heard about it, it's in Canto 3, preached by Kapila Dev. And now we also know that Lord Dattatreya also preached Sankhya philosophy. So knowledge and attachment is what Sankhya philosophy discusses. That is a real perfection of life. So in Sankhya philosophy, knowledge means that we have to have the mission of this human life, understand that the mission of human life is to end all miseries of material existence. We don't take birth again. The only way anyone doesn't take birth again in the material world is to go back home. So in spite of fulfilling all the bodily necessities in a regulated way, we have to be detached from this life. If you do only that and nothing else, then you're living a sophisticated animal life, if we do that. So we have to be determined through knowledge and through persistence, stay. Anything that happens, that we get thrown, whatever, we serve in an unfailing way. Then we'll come to that Brahmabhuta platform. Brahmabhuyaya Kalpate. So we should find ourselves or consider ourselves very fortunate that we know the world, the material world, for what it is. We know so much more than the average person knows. Even some of the scientists, we know more than they do. They don't know about even this universe, how many planetary systems are there, but we know that. It's common knowledge to us, 14 planetary systems. There's an upper system, there's a medium system, there's a lower system. Even that's not known by them. But they don't have the kind of instruments to measure that kind of thing and come across that information from their instruments, because their instruments are limited. Every one of them has what we call error. Now, what's the English of error? Error means that there's some uncertainty in there. And that's the instruments they use. So that's why so much research is going on. If there was no need to find out more, even materially, then there wouldn't be need for research. But Krishna is saying, don't spend so much time finding out about materialism or how things work or what you can put together. Serve Krishna with the material things. Serve Krishna. That is the detachment. The things that we use for serving devotees, for serving Guru, and for serving Krishna. That's real detachment, because we really don't own anything. So we say, oh, we want to detach, but you can't detach from something you don't own. That's why my Guru Maharaj gave an example. We can go to New York and stand in the Brooklyn Bridge and announce to everyone, I renounce the Brooklyn Bridge. But now you don't own the Brooklyn Bridge. How can you announce something you don't own? It's everything. Everything is not owned by us. Nothing. Some things are in our care. Now, when you live in an apartment and the landlord is a different person, then the apartment is in your care. So you take care of the apartment, but it doesn't mean you own the apartment. That's our situation. But everything that even got our names on it, we signed, and in the end, when Krishna comes to take everything away, then we really, get it. Then we'll get it. How do we own things? Well, you can't keep them, so it's not yours in the first place. If I try to keep it, it's not mine in the first place. So the conclusion is there is no real end to materialism. Everything material is taken away. Life at this point gives little material pleasure and then a lot of anxiety. So we replace it in Paramdisvanavata. We replace the lower with the higher, Krishna consciousness. That will bring happiness, internal happiness when we connect with the soul. So some of our prayers should be to plead with Krishna, to plead with Guru, to teach us how to love Krishna. When Srila Prabhupada came to the United States and the press caught up with him and asked him, and he granted an interview, and he says, what is the aim of your Krishna conscious movement, the Hare Krishnas? He says, the Hare Krishnas are helping the world to know God, how to know God, and how to love Him. He says, oh, so it's about knowing God and how to love Him. He said, yes. But many people don't even know God, much less learning to love Him. But that's what the movement is about. So we are also learning to serve. And through devotional service from our hearts, we will develop love for Him. To the point that even when we're chanting, we will feel the sweetness of Krishna's name. Krishna's name is very sweet. But sometimes when we have all our distractions, then we don't connect so much with the heart in the chanting. And the mind tends to roam. But Krishna's name is very, very, very sweet. Krishna's name is Krishna. Krishna is absolute. So even his name is him. And he's very loving, and therefore, in the chanting, we will in fact feel, if we chant steadily, then we will be able to chant emotionally. Then you begin to connect. You begin to connect with the potency of the name and actually feel it, and then become happier. So we should also pray for our mind to be removed from sense gratification, because that's what blocks the real love of Krishna, Krishna Prema. We are striving for Krishna Prema. Sense gratification's got to go. That is material, temporary, so-called happiness, sense gratification. And finally, since our final exam is the time of death, we should pray for remembrance of Krishna. Pray to remember Krishna at the time of death. Very important. And speaking about that, it is very, very important to relate well to devotees, because it serves two things. One, when we relate well to devotees, we are practicing how to relate well to the residents of Vaikuntha. It is not non-devotees that's going to help us so much. Non-devotees, if we relate to them well, yeah, we relate to them in the mode of goodness. But devotees are living a transcendental life along with the material necessities. If we relate to devotees, Christians are very affectionate towards his devotees. So if we relate well to devotees, Krishna will be affectionate to us. So that's one of them. One of the reasons, relate well to devotees. And because we're relating well to devotees, when the time comes when our deathbed, they will feel more inclined to come around us to chant the holy name of Krishna when our senses are shutting down and the sense of hearing is still there and we're in a lot of pain because when the senses shut down, imagine trying to breathe and you can't breathe properly. That alone can bring confusion to the mind. You cannot see. That alone can bring confusion to the mind. But the hearing is still there. As we know that if somebody is sleeping, you can call their name and wake them up. So when somebody is sleeping, their sense of seeing is gone, but their sense of hearing is still alive, very much so. So you can hear the name of Krishna, and non-devotees can't tell you about Krishna. It's Krishna consciousness, and the name of Krishna, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, will be arranged for you to hear, for me to hear, by devotees. That's why it is important to keep a good relationship with devotees. So it helps us to relate well because we practice how to relate well to devotees as our preparation for life in the spiritual world, and because it also gives us good wonderful bond between ourselves and devotees. At the time of death, they will also come help us to remember Krishna so that we succeed, pass the test. So Maharaj Pariksit was totally detached, and the sages were very, very much approving of the way in which he handled himself and the way he planned, his departure. And he's saying, it's not astonishing at all. You had so much wealth, but you still gave it up. So much power, but you gave it up in order to achieve the eternal association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you, dear devotees. for giving me this service. Now you can unmute your phones and you can mute yourselves and then comment or ask questions or share realizations as you like. Hare Krishna. So anyone that want to start can unmute their phones. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, August of Prabhupada.
That mind God share the power.
Jai. One realization that was coming to me is, you mentioned in your class that we have been here so many lifetimes and we forget that. And then we tend to enjoy the current life. It's interesting because this morning when I was doing my japa, and I was really, the same thought crossed my mind. And I said, wow, we are enjoying this life thinking that this is the first and the last, and let's just make the best out of it. But at the same time, but the sad thing is we are not remembering, because we cannot, that has been removed from our memory, because we cannot remember how many lifetimes we have been here. We are just operating on this is the first and this is the first, I'm going to make the best out of it and let me just enjoy it. So I was really thinking, wow, that is such a very sad consciousness. And then again, when I was chanting Mama Japa this morning, I said, oh, Krishna, this is really sad. How do we, or how do I, how do I come out of that consciousness to think that, not to enjoy the fruits of what we have in this life and really be serious, because we have forgotten that we've been here so many lifetimes and we are
That's
just
true.
doing this another one. So I was really sad when I said, Krishna, help me. This is very scary, So I wanted to just share that.
Thank you very much. The human body is the one that tells us we can get out, because there's intelligence that comes with this body, the subtle body, that is high enough to be able to understand what life is about. Now, as far as being here several lifetimes, Krishna removes that from our memories as a matter of helping us. It's actually a way in which we can go on with our own lives. Because if we had to remember previous lives, remember, previous material lives means we didn't go back. And if we didn't go back, that means we did some things that disqualified us from going back. So if we want to know what we like in the previous life, then it means we're asking to remember those things that disqualified us. Not to mention to remember the type of bodies that we're in. Now, suppose I was a dog. Do you think I really want to know what my life was like as a dog? Or worse, a mouse? Or worse, an ant? I have seen ants move around. And sometimes I just look at it and say, what in the world are they doing? Because they go and want to, then they turn around and then come back where they walk. And so there's no purpose to this. I'm looking at this. And, if I was an ant some lifetimes back, I wouldn't want to know. I really wouldn't want to know. So in one sense, we being blocked from knowing our previous life is actually, helpful to us. So this life, though, that is not only the greatest life that we have, because it is a human life, a human body, and it is also, on top of that, by the mercy of Guru, one in which we've gotten to know about Krishna and how to get out. This is the best body to have, this is the best situation to be in when you're a devotee and you're in the human body. Human body and devotee. So Srila Prabhupada says, take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. This is the time to jump. If you're living a material life, or you're living in this country and the material life isn't that bad, as a matter of fact, all you have to do is go to other countries. You realize that American material life is a whole lot better. It's a whole lot more convenient. Not better, convenient than others. So if you live in a convenient life and you're, okay, so I'm in a situation that's a little better than other material lives in other countries. Yeah, but there's problems around the corner. That's everywhere, in all the planets in the material world. So you have an opportunity to get rid of these problems once and for all. Why play with it? If we play with it, we cheat ourselves. That's why this Papa says, finish your business this lifetime and go home. Then you'll be happier. You won't have to get old. You don't have to get disease. You don't have to pay taxes. You don't have to worry about food. You don't have to go to school. You have none of that. And you just enjoy yourself in service like that. Hare Krishna. Any other comments or takeaways? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. All devotees.
Hare Krishna. There you go.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah. Wonderful lecture. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy.
Yeah, I was just thinking on the point Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport. Prahlad Maharaj is saying, I am more feared by the materialistic way of life than your curious feature like Lord Nrsimhadev. I'm not afraid of your the way you are appearing ghastly form, but the materialistic way of life is more dangerous than what you appear. So that was the point I was just thinking on.
Very, very, very important point that Prahlad Maharaj just gave to us. Prahlad Maharaj was such a very, very wonderful personality for us. When he was little, even in school, 5 years old, they say, oh, it's classmates, let's play. No. This is time to get to know about Krishna. Why? Because, well, you can leave a body at any time. Little children also die. So get to know about Krishna now. And he took the task of convincing the children of demons who were in the school. He himself was a child of a demon, but he was a full devotee. And so it is very important. So much so that, Prahlad Maharaj says, even the ghastly form of Nrsimhadev that the others that were assembled were afraid of, he wasn't afraid of that. Says, my fear is to be stuck in the material world. So that tells us that the difficulty will just go on and on and on and on until we leave the material world. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your takeaway, expressing your takeaway. Any other takeaways or questions or realizations?
There's a comment in the chat by Xavier.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, from Xavier. Let me read that now. Hare Krishna. So the counterproductive desire for sense gratification seems too difficult to conquer by our own will. That is why we pray to Krishna to remove those desires. How do we then pray sincerely for that? Sense gratification is challenge to everybody because in the advanced countries, especially, their push for life is to enjoy it, and enjoy to them is enjoying the senses. We have been given regulated principles that bring us up to the human platform. No illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, no meat eating, no fish, no eggs. And sometimes when one comes to Krishna consciousness, 1 or 2 or 3 or all 4 of them are being lived on as their life. And now they have to give it up. And so it becomes difficult because things that we practice for years to try to give it up is difficult. But hopefully we remember that even when we were not devotees, but just, religionists, everything that was outside our control, what did we do? We prayed. We prayed to God. Please help me with this. Please help me with that. And so to be more cleaned up as a devotee by avoiding sense gratification, if we can't do it on our own, then the prayer is very appropriate. And the prayer does not have to be a prayer that's so difficult. Just express yourself that I am struggling with this, part of the regulated principles. Please help me out of that. But you have to pray sincerely and cry to Guru, cry to Srila Prabhupada, cry to your Guru if you're initiated, cry to the picture of your Guru if he's not with you, cry to Krishna, cry to Lord Gauranga, Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda was praying and rolling on the ground in Navadvip to get people to chant the holy name of the Lord. So chanting should be taken seriously, but sense gratification, when we don't have much control over it, let's talk a little bit more about that. It starts with sinful activities and sinful desires. Both of them are there. Some people are going through the sinful desires and going, actualizing the sinful desires by doing the sinful activity. So the four regulating principle says no to those. So even when somebody stops it, sometimes the sinful desires are still there. And if the sinful desires are still there, the chances of falling back into the sinful activity is still there. So it's not a question of stopping the sinful activity only, but especially the sinful desire that comes from the mind. It's difficult to stop. And that's where we need to pray and pray and pray and pray. And we have to pray like our great Charger prayed. They prayed consistently. You ask over and over and over and over again, not just one time. You say it every day, whatever prayer that you want. You get an angry, for an example. We had an old temple, and a new temple was built. And it was being completed. It wasn't completed yet. And so after Mangalatik, the decision was made for the whole community. Those who come to Mangalatik, and a lot of people were coming at that time, were living very close to the temple, and some were living in the temple grounds. We will all make one prayer. Dear Shishi Radha, please help us move you to the new temple by, and I think it was Kartik's time.
Yeah, actually,
before the end of Kartik.
Yeah, actually, Mother Kalini wrote that prayer because Bhaktitirtha Swami asked her to write the prayer. And she said, actually, it was, if you so desire.
Yes, of course.
Please,
if you so desire, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. By the last day of Kartik, actually, it was the last day of Kartik,
By the end of Kartik, please remove, yes. If you so desire, because Krishna's supreme will is through his will that things get done. So that was the right approach. Please help me. So you definitely can say, please help me get rid of sense gratification. And he will do it. Each one based on where our minds are at and which sense gratification we're struggling with. Krishna will devise a thing, but you have to keep asking and keep asking. So we kept praying and we kept praying. And it so happened that the last day or the day before, I think, I'm not sure, but it was very, very close to the end of Kartik. That time came and the Lord got moved into the new temple. Very, very, very grand temple. And in the old temple and the new temple were just yards apart, just a few yards. So we put a nice carpet on the floor. Not on the floor, take it back. It was on the ground. From the door of the old temple to the door of the new temple was a carpet. And some devotees, sannyasis were there. I remember Chandamali Swami was there. And all the deities, one by one, one being held by each devotee, came up in a line and moved, walking on the carpet. So given a very, very grand reception into the new temple, we moved like that. The prayer was answered by Krishna. The prayer for sense gratification, to seize sense gratification is a spiritual prayer, not a material prayer. We're asking to get away from materialism, and there's only materialism and spiritualism. So if we ask to get away from materialism, which is get away from sense gratification, that is a spiritual prayer. Pray to see the Prabhupada, pray to Lord Gauranga, pray to Lord Nityananda, like that. But pray consistently, and it will in fact be done. Hare Krishna. Any other last questions of prayer? Takeaways? Hare Krishna. Yes, Damodar Prabhu, please go ahead and unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. Sorry, I'm taking we are already over time.
That's okay.
So,
it's okay.
I just wanted to
talk long.
So I just wanted to, when you were pointing out, Anusya Mataji was talking about give this one lifetime. So I was thinking, or whatever I have heard in Krishna consciousness, there are like 2-3 devotees whom I know and who did the same thing. Like His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. I think one day he was talking and Prabhupada said to him, "Just give this one lifetime to Krishna. You have given you have given a lot of lifetimes for material desires. Just give this one lifetime." The next day he surrenders. Then I think if I'm not wrong, Kratu Prabhu did the same thing. They one day he meets Prabhupada, and if I'm not wrong, Prabhupada says and just give this one lifetime to Krishna. And next thing we know, Kratu Prabhu, he is in the marriage, like he's married at that time, young, and they shift to the temple. It's like amazing. And and Jayapataka Swami Maharaj was also saying, I think a couple of days back, Anusaya Mataji shared the quote from him. It was saying, just give this one lifetime. And I was thinking, what that means is we can increase what we are doing. Like we are coming, if one is coming for Sunday programs, so then one can come during the week for Gaurati in the evening. Maybe increase the services. Maybe come early on the Sundays and do some services like that. So yeah, slowly and
So
steadily we
very,
can.
very, very good advice. Hare Krishna. Go ahead. Very, very good advice. Increase the quantity and or quality of the service that you already do. If you increase that, what's going to happen is that our love for Krishna will also increase. And our love for Krishna increasing means that our happiness will also increase. And we'll be more and more detached. It's a question of, you have to find out by doing it. If you find out, then you realize that, oh, so this is so true. And then sense gratification pales. It begins to go down. The desire for it goes down. But it is from increasing the quality. If you want to love somebody, you serve them. The more you serve them, the more attached you'll be to them. Same thing. The same thing in Krishna consciousness. So thank you for giving the examples of coming for Gorati, because some devotees come now, and it's very nice bond with Shishinita Gora Chandra in the evening. So if you can, come. 6:30, Gorati is on, and they're giving their mercy like that. The Didis are. Or wherever you are, if you have time to go to your temple, do that. And ask for service. Ask for service. Ask for service, because that means you're telling Krishna, I want to serve you. Ask for service from the authorities. And if there's something else that you can do, tell them, I have this background. Can I do so and so? How can I do with my background? How can I serve a temple? And get some service and do it. Tell them your background. Tell the authorities your background and do that. And arrange your time. You'll also realize the time that sometimes we get into Maya, we won't have time for it anymore when we increase our services. So it's all good for us. We just have to do it. Hare Krishna. Any last questions or last comments? If not, then I thank you very much and apologize for going so much past 9 o'clock. But it's all good. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sunibhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vaishnav Thakur ki jai. Oh, Brahmanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai. Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jai. Srila Prabhupada.